prevent more than 90% of your mission failures by just following this one tip. Alright, so I found a really good breakdown of Absolute, and this post is going to be great for newer players or players who are jumping into Absolute for the first time. This is going to help you navigate some of the most difficult angles in Absolute. In a sense that when we do get that Terminus spawn, this is exactly what happens when the Extremist spawns, and this is what you need to look out for, in addition to everything else that Absolute can snowball on top of you. So yeah, it does say by following this one tip, but you will see what they mean. But it is a great breakdown for players who are jumping into Absolute for the first time. If there is one thing the vast majority of you keep doing that costs everyone the mission, it's this. You tunnel vision the Terminus, and that costs everyone the game. I can't believe how many people will post complaining about unfair game situations and posting videos only for me to see them beeline the Terminus, get it below 50%, and fail because suddenly they are overwhelmed by multiple mobs. Everyone seems to forget everything and tunnel the Terminus threat like it's a priority. Well, guess what? It's not. It's bait for the below 50% reinforcement call to kill you. Now, that is definitely a pretty good perspective here. Yes, when you get the Terminus enemy at half health, he will summon Extremists. A lot of people know that already. So this is a way to kind of break down that situation, and hopefully you can look at it in a new perspective to help out your battle navigation. Because yeah, when it comes to Absolute, I will admit, this is definitely the moment that gets most people killed, 100%. And honestly, if you're a little bit a lower level, or you're still like leveling through Absolute, or lethal or whatever, this is still going to help you just navigate the battle and understand priority targets, and not to mention also protect yourself. So here's a free tip. When you inevitably run into that situation where suddenly a Terminus spawns, kill all other enemies first and leave the Terminus for last. Now, this is definitely easier said than done because the Neurothrope will not allow you to do that. I will say, the Neurothrope is a lot easier to take down as far as a pure DPS check standpoint, so you can definitely take your time taking out a few priority targets and then going after the Neurothrope. There are moments, though, where the Neurothrope leaves itself open, and you will definitely notice that when it does the AoE wave attack. Yeah, you basically just want to dodge through that, go into the bubble the Neurothrope created, and yeah, hit the Neurothrope with some heavy damage, and then go back to parrying, or, perfect dodging, or executing, or whatever. At 50% HP, the Terminus will spawn a whole new mob wave, and if you haven't cleaned up the first one, you're now massively outnumbered. Even if you kill the Terminus using quick DPS, you'll still be overwhelmed by any mobs present and the new wave coming in. Yeah, dude, honestly, when it comes to priority targets, you definitely need to make sure that at least somebody is kind of aggroing the Terminus in my eyes. If it's the Carnifex, somebody should be sitting there parrying the Carnifex. If there's already somebody over there kind of entertaining the Carnifex, definitely take out things like enraged majors, especially snipers. If you see ranged majors at all and they're in your way, definitely just clean them up for sure. And then obviously, extremists will definitely be the next priority target. But a lot of those extremists are going to jump after you, like Raveners or Lictors or Terminators, but honestly, Terminators can spawn with the minigun or rockets. I've been seeing that a lot recently. But yeah, okay, let's continue. 3 Bivores is more dangerous than a single Carnifex. Yeah, I agree with that. I definitely agree with that. 2 Zoanthropes are more dangerous than a single Neurothrope. That is the one that's a little bit interesting, but I will admit, I do think if you, at face value, if you just tank 2 Zoanthrope death beams, yeah, that is more damage than the Neurothrope. So that's an interesting way to look at it. Slow down, prioritize. The person who has Terminus aggro will move it around, preferably away from the other 2. You can do damage to it as it moves, but it's a lot safer to go 100% defense so you don't risk getting hit from an off angle by other things while you're trying to do damage. Yeah, yep, this is exactly what I mean by taking out snipers, because as soon as you start to focus in on the Terminus, if you forgot one sniper, that sniper can seriously mess up that fight completely. Meanwhile, the other 2 remaining Marines will clear out the room. Once the room is clear, you focus down the Terminus with as much DPS as possible. If you can kill it, then do it. Otherwise, deal damage to the Terminus while prioritizing those extra annoying mobs like snipers. Yeah, exactly. Terminus are made to seem intimidating, but are huge pushovers with visible moves and easy kiting. They are made for kiting. Move them around the room. Don't be bothered. Just focus on the true threat. Mobs. And, yeah, extremists. I mean, honestly, yeah, everything kind of boils down to mobbing for sure. If you have like 2 Raveners, you have like 3 snipers, that's definitely a priority situation. Honestly, we are in Season 2 already, and still I see people focus down Terminus enemies on spawn, tactical wasting precious Auspex on a huge target moving around, instead of the 4 majors right on his face. Dude, yeah, that's actually a fair way to look at it, for sure. I mean, at least for Concentrated Fire. Concentrated Fire is a tactical perk where the scan will basically be in one place. If you scan an enemy and it leaves the place, they lose scan. It's pretty difficult to play around, but you get a huge damage bonus with it. So if you are comfortable with it, honestly, that is a great way to burn down Terminus, but you want to make sure you use it at the right moment. If you do it on spawn, they are correct. The Terminus is just going to move out of the way. This is extra noticeable when the legendary Neurthrope shows up and everyone glues under its floating everyone glues under its floating butt like it can't just blast you to Kingdom Come. The Neurthrope comes down. It's the whole point. You dodge around and chip it till it comes down. You do not focus fire the thing while every other Majoris surrounds you. You also do not bring it down if there are enemies near it, because now you have an AoE bubble keeping you locked inside a tiny space outnumbered by Majors and extremist threats, and if one of those threats happens to be a Biovore, you just lost. Kill everything else, then bring the Neurthrope down and beat him like he owes you money. Strategy, this is Space Marines, not Doom. Ooh, that's a good way to look at it. That is a good way to look at it, where it's more about positioning, priority targeting, much like the tabletop in a sense. It at least has the same elements. And yeah, I was literally just playing Doom the other day, and yeah, the same thought occurred to me, like, wow, I really don't care about positioning at all in that game because you are just speeding around the level. Terminus is not a final boss. The game won't end when it dies, so stop acting like it's a nuke about to go off. Clear the room, then go for the boom. Thank you, that is all. Okay, that was a good post. That was a great post, man. But yeah, there's a lot of really good advice there for players who are having issues navigating Absolute. This is definitely the post for you, 100%. Overall, everything here I definitely agree with, and I just think they're kind of making it sound too easy to deal with Neurthropes in my opinion, but still, overall, if you can recognize the patterns, you can definitely play around it. But yeah, mostly, if there's a Terminus and you see it on the other side of the room, don't skip all the enemies to get to it. Take out all the enemies you can, and then take out the Terminus. Bro, I had 2 guys leave my op the other day because when I joined in, the Terminus almost instantly spawned while I started getting jumped by 7 Majors, so I spent the time to kill the Majors first. And right as I finished the last one, they both get double swiped by the Carnifex and leave after calling me a jerk or a bad player for not fighting the Carnifex right then and there. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so this is exactly the type of situation we are talking about. So did this situation actually call for 2 players to aggro the Carnifex? I'm not 100% sure. I mean, this guy, he said he jumped in, there were 7 Majors, he killed those, but then noticed his 2 teammates died, and then his 2 teammates left, insulted him, and then, yeah, did they leave the game? They left, right? 2 guys left my op. Yeah, that's pretty unfortunate. Dude, honestly, they're just bad players. I'm not too sure if they know what they're doing in Absolute or not, but yeah, they jumped on the they jumped on the Carnifex, and then even though they have a teammate who's alive, they would rather just die to the Carnifex and leave? Like, that doesn't make any sense, man. But yeah, 2 players on the Carnifex, maybe not 100% necessary, unless you guys were trying to make sure you take it down, which might have been the case, but still, ultimately, you shouldn't just leave just because you went down. I have this same issue all the time with Absolute and hard stratagems. My last run of the weekly hard stratagem, we were in the area after the Cadian camp. We had a Terminus spawn and Neurthrope. Both my teammates instantly focused the boss. I kept telling them to ignore it. Don't get it to 50% health, while you was trying to kill the extremists that spawned and the wave of enemies. They didn't listen. And before you know, we had 6 extremists on the field, 3 Lictors, Ravener, 2 Zoanthropes. I tried my best, killed the Lictors, Ravener, and some of the wave mobs, but the Zoanthropes, Neurothrop, and the rest of the wave killed us. We could have easily cleared everything, but my team wouldn't leave the Terminus alone and rushed it to 50%, and then everything went wrong. Yet, this is the exact type of situation we're trying to avoid, right? This is, yeah, the exact type of situation we're trying to avoid. Yeah, they sped run the Terminus into 50%. Dude, I wish we got to see some classes people were using, but I gotta admit, yeah, taking out what they say they took out. I think they said I tried my best. I killed the Lictors. Okay, so they killed 3 Lictors and a Ravener, but they still went down to the Zoanthrope and Neurothrop. That is so unfortunate, man. That is so unfortunate. They were pretty close to beating that, to be completely honest. They did get the Neurothrop to half health, right? And yeah, I gotta admit, if one player on your team is taking out like half the extremist spawns on the table and you guys still lose, it's definitely not on that player. It could be on the matchup, to be completely honest. I mean, how many Zoanthropes? Yeah, they had 2 Zoanthropes and a Neurothrop. That is a bad matchup for a lot of class strategies, for sure. In the sense that it's like, okay, if you have a Vanguard, an Assault class, and Bulwark, yeah, that can be a tough matchup for the Thropes. Perfectly said, brother. Someone else mentioned it, but I find it most effective to have one guy distract the Terminus and do some chip damage while the other 2 kill the wave around. Okay, this is basically just a quick summary of what the post said. The post did go into detail about someone distracting the Terminus and kiting it while the other 2 teammates clear everything else. This is definitely the strategy you want to use, for sure. And I gotta be honest, when it comes to actually navigating through Absolute, to me, a lot of the times my instincts just take over, and if I see something in front of me that I know I can take out very quick, whether it is because I, do an insta-kill parry on Bulwark, or marked for death on Tactical, or hey, even just a giant hammer slam on Assault, it definitely speaks to how much it helps to just clear waves. Because yeah, if you can take out a Ravener in a couple seconds, you're better off doing that than wasting your time on the Terminus while the Ravener looks for an opportunity to grab you, essentially. So yeah, again, this is just a very quick way to look at it. Make sure someone is either aggroing or distracting or kiting the Terminus while you have the other 2 teammates clear out everything else. But you gotta keep in mind, when you are the teammate who is clearing out everything else, when you're clearing out extremists, when you're clearing out, enraged majors or whatever, you got to make sure you're still doing this in a appropriate time frame. You can't really sit there all day with your bolt pistol and whiff shots against the Zoanthrope, because yeah, eventually that Zoanthrope is just going to ignore you and throw a death beam at your teammate who is kiting the Terminus. So you got to make sure you're picking targets that are appropriate for you. Leave the Zoanthrope for the sniper. If the sniper is aggroing the Terminus, maybe try to find some other ways to either take down the Zoanthrope, maybe a crack grenade or something like that. But yeah, you just really want to play around the table. You want to play around what is actually happening in the battle. You got to pay attention to your teammates' aggro and everything like that. It's not that important. As I was trying to get at earlier, sometimes I can kind of just see red and I don't really think about what I'm doing, but essentially what I am doing is taking out everything that is around me. So then that will leave some room up for your teammates. So yeah, you don't have to think about it too much. Honestly, sometimes I just mention the bad matchups just so you can recognize bad matchups and then find a plan B or something. But ultimately, yes, make sure somebody's distracting the Terminus and then clear out everything else around that. Yeah, if you're the other 2 teammates, clear out everything else that's around the Terminus as fast as possible. When the Terminus sets out for another one of us or does an AoE attack, we give an appropriate call out over comms. Ooh. Man, there should be a call out for like the emotes, like kind of like a watch out emote or something. I feel like For the Emperor just, honestly, I think For the Emperor just, a blanket statement kind of covers everything. Whenever someone says For the Emperor, I feel like I kind of lock in. I kind of look around like, yeah, wait, what are we For the Emperoring? Teamwork makes the dream work, and teamwork is sorely missing when fighting with randos. Sometimes. I think honestly, if you're playing your role correctly, you're fine. Like the amount of times where I've been playing Bulwark and I, get a parry execution on Raveners and Lictors, and then my teammates go down, and we still have a Terminus up. Sometimes at playing a Bulwark, you can just take out everything you can take out. Your teammates are down, the Terminus is up. Maybe, you know, you do a couple parries on the Carnifex, or, you know, the Neurothrop gives you a moment to res your teammates. Yeah, definitely follow through with that. But yeah, don't be afraid to just 1v1 a Carnifex. You definitely need to get used to it. And as long as you're not getting sniped at the same time, you should be fine, to be completely honest. But again, it kind of does depend on the matchup and everything. For example, like even if you're playing Sniper and you see a Neurothrop and you have an opportunity to take it out, you could definitely take it out, but you also have to make sure that you have like something to protect your teammates with, whether it is like a crack grenade on an extremist that they're struggling against. Like, yeah, there's a lot of ways to navigate this, but as long as you know, like, oh, Terminus spawns, okay, who's aggroing the Terminus? We got to make sure that when the extremist spawns, you know, people take that out as well. So yeah, if you're playing Sniper, maybe take out the Zoanthrope first before you go after the Neurothrop. If you're playing Sniper, maybe get a headshot on the Ravener if you can, or the Terminator. We haven't really talked about Chaos, really, but yeah, Hellbrute is still going to have the same rules here. In fact, I would say the Hellbrute should be a lot easier to kite, but it really depends. It really depends on what room you're in. But yeah, ultimately, this is still a very great way to navigate the battle. But yeah, also, again, a lot of this stuff does depend on your class. Regardless, it just depends on your class for how you are going to approach the mobs. It really doesn't matter that much on the Terminus. It matters mostly, yeah, for example, Sniper can take out Zoanthropes in 2 seconds. That's pretty much what I'm pointing at here. The Assault class can get a slam on the Lictor, take that out in a couple seconds, and then you go after the Terminus. Dude, yeah, this is a great post. This is a great post. This is a great way to navigate Absolute, and likely the one spot people are struggling with in Absolute, this is definitely the way you should navigate that. But yeah, let me know in the comments how you guys feel about this. Let me know in the comments if you guys have any other good advice for players who are still struggling with Absolute, because yeah, this is definitely where I see most players die when it comes to hard stratagems or Absolute. But yeah, let me know in the comments how you guys feel about this, and thanks for watching.